Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. And I really so happy that you're here with us today. It's really good to be together, and we have a really profound show in store. So anything is going to be possible today. So I just want to tell you that. And I know your time is very precious. So thank you. You're honoring us by being here. So before we get on with my special guest, and you know all my guests are special, I want to say hi to Amnon.
Hello, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. Amnon is the man. He is the man. He keeps the show going. How are you? How are you doing,
I'm
Amnon?
fine.
You good?
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's interesting. I'm debating how you say that because normally in my life, when somebody says to me, "How are you doing?" I usually say, "Good, great," because normally things are, but sometimes you carry around a little heavy heart. And I have my best friend just passed away, and I don't want to say that I'm great, but I got a heavy heart. So I'm just telling y'all, I got a heavy heart. Anyway, please feel free anytime during the show to call in anytime you want with a question, and you're going to have some, I know, and call into 919-518-9773, or come in on Skype at computers, the number 2K voice. So that's computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice. And then we have a chat, and you are more than welcome to join us there. Just put your name under the video, and you can ask questions, you can comment, you can do whatever you like there. So many of you, if you've watched the show before, know that I wrote a book uh, a while ago on. Thank you, Amnon. Oh yeah, here we go. It's in just one afternoon, listening into the hearts of men, and I it's on Amazon. But anyway, one of the men that I had the pleasure of interviewing in that book is sitting with me right here, right now in the studio. So I want to welcome to you. I want to welcome and introduce you to Roland Walters. Hey, Roland,
Hey, good afternoon.
how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good, and I'm glad you're here.
I'm pleased to be here. It's exciting.
It is. So Roland is a sweet man. He is a shaman, a healer. He's a father, and he has lots to share and lots to offer. And before we actually got started, uh, uh, Roland actually did some healing work on me, which was really cool because I needed some healing. What is that? What are you pointing
That's the
to?
camera that you're on.
Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the
Yeah.
wrong direction. Okay, so forgive me, everybody. Amnon has played a trick on me, and he's moved the camera, but I like it where it is. So thank you. All right, good. So anyway, so Roland is here, and he did some healing work on me, which obviously I really needed because as I told you, I came in here with a heavy heart today, and Roland just so happy. Isn't it funny how life works out? I've known Roland for, I don't know, a couple of years, and we've never done a show together. And last week, I think it was, we had lunch on Monday, and I asked him to do the show with me today. And he said, okay. Little, of course, did I know that my friend would pass away and Roland would be here and would be able to do some healing work on me, which I so needed. And I am more relaxed than when I came in. And I was telling him my eyes felt really burning and sticky because I've been crying a lot and I have eye issues anyway. And Roland really worked on them, and they're not so sticky anymore. They feel much lighter and just more comfortable. So, enough about me. Now we're going to go to Roland. So, Roland, would you tell everybody about you and who you are?
As you said, I'm Roland Walters. I live in northern Orange County, so about an hour from here. Um, I am I am a farmer by growing up. Everything in my life has been dealing with agriculture, but over the last 10 years, it has been more and more working with energy and in the healing fields, and in the last 3 or so years, especially shamanism.
So, would you tell everyone how you actually got started and how you really um, found more of your healing?
I'm one of those people that all my life have felt stuff. I have, especially in my younger years, I'd feel it and talk about it and then get kind of shunned and I would hide it. And really, that went back and forth most of my life. But when my daughter was born 10 years ago, she's a special needs child. And everything started opening up more and more. And I was like, okay, I'm getting the hints. I need to be doing more of this. Specifically, when she was 5 months of age, she had a heart attack and was in the hospital. And like a dad went in to check on her. She's laying in a hospital bed, nothing but a diaper on, these bright lights on her, and I wanted to see if she was cold, if she was hot, and went to touch her chest and couldn't do it. It was like a bowl of energy over top of her chest. And if I pushed on that little bowl of energy, she would jump, even though she'd been unconscious for 2 or 3 days. And it stayed that way until she regained consciousness. And from then on, it's just grown and grown and grown.
And that was how long ago? That was 10
That,
years ago.
yeah, 9.5 years ago.
And and that's an interesting story. And of course, his whole story is in my book. But it's interesting because, Roland was basically a farmer. And, like a lot of us that don't always recognize our power, our energy power, and what we can do as far as healing. I was telling Roland, I used to see color. And I thought everybody saw color. I didn't realize that I was the only one seeing color, or that not everybody was seeing color like I was. So we don't know those things. And sometimes it does take something to bring it out more. And so Roland recognized that at that point he had this, do you call it a gift?
I don't know if I'd call it a gift. I think everybody has it. It's just that door finally just opened for me.
Mhm.
You know, it's one of those things like I said, I felt most of my life, but it's just, I never had not accepted it and realized that was the path I was supposed to take. So I don't necessarily call it a gift. Is more, it's just the path opened.
Mm. So what happened after that? How did you continue? Oh, but before you do that, I know you're a shaman. Explain what it means to be a shaman.
I usually tell people is, as a shaman, we're, his common name would be like a medicine man, but we essentially are helping people to help themselves, helping people to heal themselves. Um, and through connecting with spirit and Mother Earth, and using in through journeying to lower worlds, upper worlds, and we end up through the energy of Mother Earth and spirit, we help people to help heal themselves.
Is it something you are born with? Is it something you learn? Is it something you get a certification for? Like, what is it?
Yes, you can be trained. And I was trained. No, I was not born a shaman. Um, in indigenous cultures, most shamans were trained most of their life. Like one was picked out of the community and from a child and trained most of their life. Um, there are a lot of people that teach shamanism across the country, and so once you decided that walking into that doorway where you're feeling the unusual, feeling energies and noticing things or seeing colors, take a shaman class and or multiple classes as I did. It was over like a year and a half time, and with that, I opened up a little bit more and a little bit more.
Interesting. Because I would think on some level, lots of people have that tendency, or a lot of people have the opportunity to be able to feel things, do things, see things, and we don't always take it. So I didn't realize, I knew that I felt like I had some shamanism in me, but I wasn't sure that I could actually go just take a class and just, kind of be it. So that's really exciting. So now, Chris has a question on the chat. And the question is based on your background of being like, into agriculture and and land and farm, how did that have any bearing on your path as a shaman, do you think?
Yes. Um, the connection to land. Uh, my farm, I have cattle on it, but it is also organic, and the cattle are only grass fed. It's very natural. It's very clean. I am very much a stickler with keeping the soil healthy, keeping the whole environment, the water systems healthy, and that tie in with those feelings with Mother Nature and Earth really ties into shamanism.
Very, very, very connected and related. Okay, so from the time Shayla was, born and she had those issues, can you kind of tell us more of the story?
Okay. Well, Shayla took full care. She was a very happy, giggly girl most of the time, but physically she took full care. And sometimes we had help, sometimes we didn't. At the time, at that time, had the farm going, but I also had a job doing dairy cattle nutrition work in a few different states, and so I was almost too busy to pursue what I should have been pursuing. But eventually, downsized the farm, left the job, and was having to spend more time with my daughter. And then with that, I made the point of being able to take time and feel her energy, work on her in her times of pain, and experiment, play, just see what happens. If I do this, what happens? Or what do I feel? What do I see? And eventually, started taking some classes, started learning some different things. Like a common one was Reiki and like body talk and a few others. But uh, I felt like I wasn't finding quite the right thing, and eventually it's interesting because you run into people just at the right time, and I would meet one person that led me down to my next path, which was being a more I met an individual, a lady who was a psychic and a medium, and working with her for about a year, that opened me up a lot more. And then that one led me to somebody else, and eventually I met my shamanic teacher, Chris Crone, and that was a few years, 4 years or so ago when I met her. And it's one step after another. There's lots of things you can be that I guess classes you can take and all kinds of different modalities, and a lot of people have a lot. I guess you could say on their resume. Um, I did not. I decided after a point that I wasn't pursuing anymore. That it was more of me just staying in contact with spirit and growing my own connection. And even with the shamanism, that's led me to being open and more. Um, with my daughter, her passing last month was a very difficult time, but that particular time frame in that month, much has changed, and in my connection with spirit and in my direction. So it's a ever changing, ever growing process.
Well, I can't go on until I just say, and I know about Shayla, and I just want to tell you again how sorry I am, and just that I love you,
Thank
and
you.
you are a great daddy.
Thank you.
So, when you say teachers, what does a shaman teacher, teach you? What does a medium teacher teach you?
Um, I will say not much until you're ready. There's a lot of people that are willing and say they want to, but their path may not be ready. Um, a lot of people think that shamanism, mediumship, other type of modalities are just an easy thing where you take a weekend class and all of a sudden you're well connected to spirit and so when I say ready, I mean ready to put in the work, put in the time. I'm in full agreement that nothing comes easy. You work hard for it, and if you are sincere and work hard for it, it happens. So to answer your question about what do you get taught, that's the first thing.
Because I mean, I guess I kind of believe that no, I mean, you open up and then spirit comes through, the energy comes through, the information comes through, and you're being taught by spirit
Yes.
or by your experience, by the energy, by so what is it? Is it so what is it you're learning? Like for instance, which was really great. So um maybe I'm answering my own question at the same time.
That's good.
I think it's important, just like I'm a coach, and people come to me for all different reasons. It could be career, relationship, personal growth and development, just, wanting more of a good thing. Maybe it's got something to do with energy. So I think I'm answering my own question and tell me. So it's really good to have somebody who is practiced in something that when you have a question on that journey that you're discovering, that you have somebody to ask who you can reflect upon with these answers. So I was sharing with Roland, I mean, we both are going through mourning, and I was sharing with him something that occurred with me last, I guess it was Saturday when I was with my friend Debbie. And I was lying in bed with her, and she was a little conscious, not so much. And her room has a glass door. And, I was just sitting in there with her, and it was just she and I. And then all of a sudden, from out of the sky, I was going to say out of nowhere, but out of the sky, the sun came shining through her room. Like it was a shock to me. I don't know if it was the time of day that shocked me the most, because I don't remember what time it was. Because I was so absorbed in being with her. But the sun just landed on her head. It was like this beam of friggin' light. I have to say it that way. There was just this beam of light. It
Yes.
wasn't like the whole room was lit up. It wasn't like I was lit up. This just landed on her head. And I said something to Roland, and he turned around and said,
I don't remember
I
exactly,
don't
but
know. That's why I'm looking at you. No, you said that she was ready, the
yeah,
light.
she was ready. And they were ready for her when the time was right. Most most people most people probably wouldn't have noticed that light. Um, those that did, a small percentage of them would realize the connection. Others would just think of, the clouds broke through, and it was just by chance the sun. But um, that was she was ready, and they were waiting.
And I hear exactly what you're saying. And I'm guessing that some people might not have noticed it to be unique, special
Right.
in the way that I was in that moment told that it was, because I'm a listener. So I heard that this is her whole head was aglow, right? So in a shamanic setting, if when you're working with a medium or you're working with someone who is a teacher like that, that's the kind of thing you learn.
It's whether any coach, any teacher, it's experience.
Mhm.
And but I will say in the energy healing type of world, way I feel or experience something will not be the same as other people. It's just, it doesn't work. So, as a coach or as a teacher, you give them the basic information and share their experiences, and then, like coach working with players or something, is let's try this. And then the more you try it, the better you get. And the more you start noticing things, the more you start seeing, and the more you start feeling. But it's just, doesn't matter if it's a life coach, if it's a coach on a
Right.
football field, or if it's a coach or a teacher of this, the work has got to be put into it. But everybody does not get the same results. Some people open up much faster, some people slower, but it's life. It's what they've learned from somebody else and just sharing. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. That's what we're all doing here right now in this moment, is learning from each other and sharing. And that brings me to the fact that you can call in and share your experiences, because that's why stories are so powerful, because it's these stories that we hold dearly, that we share, where the learning takes place, where the experience takes place. Maybe you've had a different experience with light. Maybe with the sun, you've had something very similar, or something else, and that builds upon each of our experiences and helps us to grow. So please, please, please feel free to call in 919-518-9773, or you can join us on the chat anytime you like. Right now would be good. Just put your name under the video and join us there, ask questions, and also you can call in on Skype at Computers 2K Voice. Now here's Melody. Do you know Melody? Well, we have a Melody. Welcome, Melody. She's in a chat, and Melody is saying the thing that makes a miracle is often the timing of its occurrence. Beautiful.
I agree.
Yeah.
And sometimes those occurrences can be traumatic occurrences that cause us to be open.
Yeah, and I often say, if you are not open to miracles, you won't see them.
Right.
You've got to be open for any of this to happen. In order, I mean, I am open. Did I expect the sunbeam of light to come in on my friend Debbie's head? No. I mean, I was deep in emotion,
But you don't deny it.
but not
You-
even close.
Yeah, you accept it.
Absolutely.
And be grateful for it.
Mhm.
And learn from it.
And I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew it was something. I mean,
Right.
what, you know what I mean? I had, I didn't know what it meant exactly, other than she was something. It was something special. That light was shining on her.
Right.
So it's really something.
I can just tell you that, like, not knowing, when you said not knowing what it was, I remember when I was on the road traveling a lot through the different states doing the nutrition work for livestock. I get tired and stretch my back out, and I lean up so my hands are up over the steering wheel, and I would just start getting this pulse back and forth between my hands.
Mhm.
And I'd stop, put my hands back up, and do it again, and it was just like, no, I didn't know what that was, but I was going to figure it out.
Yes.
But I accepted it. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, cool. I wasn't going to ignore it. It's just, all right, what's next?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I have to say, when I came in here today, I felt it, right? I mean, I came in, I sat down on my big chair here in the studio, and I knew I was like this. I could feel it, but I didn't know. I knew I was like this. I was heavy, but I didn't. Funny thing is, I didn't know how to sit back. I mean, I was accepting that I was bent over, and I could feel while Roland was working on me, all of a sudden, that I sat back.
Yeah, well, I had said to you that your back was tired and you didn't even realize it.
No, didn't even realize it, and I just realized now that I'm sitting probably as straight as I have sat in a long time. Anyway, so
Good.
you've done, you're working on different people, right?
Yes.
Can you give us some ideas of the kinds of work that you find yourself in?
It's a wide range. Yes, I am a shaman, but I don't do just shamanic work. Um, it's a major portion of my work, but wide range of things. And it's mostly between emotional and physical pains. Emotional pain is a major thing. Loss of a friend or a family member, or just anything where your feelings have been hurt, or you've been angered. You have a tendency to hold that in, and it will eat you alive. So I part of my shamanic training is that I do a lot with is helping people release this stuff. It's almost like I'm a psychologist or something, but I'm actually physically, as they're releasing, I'm physically removing the negative energy that's tied to it, that's within their body. But anything emotional or physical, I address, and each person I have to address differently. Sometimes in the shamanic world, we have to do past life regressions, um, go into past lives, doing soul retrievals because of things that have happened in past lives are still affecting us in this life and in will into the next if we don't change it, and changing patterns. But I will say that sometimes I have people come to me and I cannot change their situation and I cannot help them. Those situations, it's because that is what was part of their life plan and their lessons they had to learn. I can give them relief, but this is the path that they were destined to be on. Now, others, you can change things dramatically. We can turn a life around, and so also I do a lot with helping what I call lost souls find their way home. Call them ghosts, call them entities, call them what you will, whether it be in a person or in a building or home, wherever. I've done a lot of work with that, and that actually gives me great pleasure to know that I'm helping them go home.
You know, after my friend passed away on Saturday, the hospice nurse came over and to pronounce her dead. And he was a really lovely man. And he said 90% of the time we can um, keep somebody comfortable. We can help somebody's pain, is what he said. 10% of the time we can't. It's up to God.
Yes.
And Debbie's, it was an up to God thing because they could not keep her comfortable. So
Right.
there are times that you just have to recognize that that things are just sometimes beyond the human, and we have to just take it.
You wonder when somebody's going through a medical treatment or take two people and same case, same symptoms, everything, and one comes out wonderful and the other just does not.
Does not.
Now there is a part of that that has to be remembered, which is the mental aspect, the will within the person to between accept things and also be willing to handle the struggle.
Right. Right.
So it's not only is there a will of God, but there's our own free will.
Yeah. I think I'd like the right path. I want to choose the right one. I want to learn all as much as I can learn everyone so that I do the best I can. I want to listen really good because I want to find that right path. That's what I want. So anyway, listen, there's Melody is saying some really phenomenal things on here. Chris has a great question in the chat. I want to ask Chris's question, but I also, if Melody, if you are more than welcome to call in and chat with us and give us, your own perspective and things, and I would love to hear about it. So you don't have to. I will read it if you want. But you are welcome to call in at 919-518-9773, or computers take 2K voice. You are more than anybody out there that has a story to share. Please feel free. And you don't have to be, you don't have to have a label of shaman. You don't have to have a label of healer. You don't have to have a label of being Marilyn or Roland or anybody. You're just yourself. And so if you have a story, doesn't have to be a powerful. They're all powerful. You don't analyze it that it's not that big. It's not, whatever. We'd love to hear all of it because it all is interesting and matters. So first of all, let me read Chris's question, and then Melody, I'm gonna, if you haven't called in, I'm gonna read yours so everybody can hear what you have to say. So Chris's question is: I read in your interview in my book that your granny was a healer who worked with burn victims. Can you share more about that?
Yes. It was called Talking Out the Fire. It was my grandmother on my mother's side. Unfortunately, I didn't learn about it until after she had passed away. From what I learned after the fact was that it gets passed down through the generations, but it goes from a male to a female, and it has to skip a generation. So my mother's mother got it from her uncle, and my mother told me that she used to try to get her mother to teach her, and my grandmother would never teach her. Said, you can't have it, it's not for you. And told her when she was a kid that your firstborn son, I'll teach it to him. Well, that was my oldest brother. He refused it. I don't know if my other brother was offered the chance or not, but it was supposed to, and then the last chance would have been towards me. But I did not know anything about it until after she passed away. But the stories I heard was essentially they lived in an area of tobacco country, so there was a lot of old tobacco barns where they had fire for drying out the tobacco, and occasionally somebody got burned. A kid fell in a fire or something, and everybody in the neighborhood up there in Cedar Grove, North Carolina, would bring them to her, and the wound would still be there after she was done, but the pain would be gone. And said that's why they called it talking out the fire. So I remember thinking after learning that I could have learned that, that I was like, oh, I missed a chance. But no, it's just she was connected, and it was just another way of being connected. And she was very much a Christian, but so I just do energy work a little different way.
She gave it to you somehow.
As I said before, I think everybody has it. It's just whether or not you're open and you're ready.
Right.
And whether you're seeing colors, or if you're feeling things, or if you're hearing voices. A lot of us just shut it down, but some of us aren't meant to either.
Right.
It's not their time.
Right.
They need to be focused on something else. And I feel very lucky that my path is continually pushing me this way.
Me too. It's so comforting to be on this path and to be able to hear these things going on around me, for me, to me, with me, with other people in my, that I get to observe and be a part of. It's really, I can't imagine. I can't imagine going through things without looking at that light and going, yes. I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine having missed that opportunity of seeing that sunlight on her.
Right.
And not knowing. And not, I mean, I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just can't. And the thing is, when she did pass away, I wasn't in the room, but she looked at some of the people in the room with a big, big smile. So you put two and two, you get something. I don't know what you get, but it's something.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I want to read Melody's.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick up my phone, y'all, so I can see it closer, because it's a really special thing that she wrote here. And Melody, feel free if you like anytime to call in. And certainly you are more than welcome to connect with me, you know, after the show. Anybody can. Maybe you don't feel like talking here, but you have a really interesting story. So please feel free anytime to connect with me at Marilyn Shannon, SHANNON.com. Anytime, I'd love to hear from you. So this is from Melody on our chat. I hung myself accidentally at 6. My younger sister found me and called my mom out to the swings. I lost consciousness. I was told that I died that day, but was sent back because it wasn't my time to die. I have a strong sense of joy and love for life, people, and God. I believe I was saved for a reason. Melody, hello. I'm not going to assume it's Melody, but hello.
Yes, this is she.
Hey there, Melody. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey.
I couldn't get the number of copied to call in time.
Well, we're glad you you called in.
Me too. I've been listening, and I've been seeing a lot of synchronicity in my life in the last few years. I've had an abusive marriage, and my husband passed away about 8 years ago, and everything's just been coming together since that happened. But I found that I have a great sense of love for everybody, and just I can't tolerate people hitting other people and meanness on TV and things like that. I'm making friends. I'm learning how to listen to my intuition better. Just so many things are happening. It's amazing.
How did you find the show today?
I'm on Meetup, and I'm
Okay.
on several of the consciousness realm of consciousness, and I can't think of the other one right now.
Right.
One of the other groups.
Right, but and I remember we wrote to each other today, didn't we? Did you? Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any questions for her, Roland?
No, not yet. Not till hear more from her.
Okay. So, what else do you want? What do you want to hear?
How were you able
Me?
to? Yes. How in going through like an abusive marriage? I've worked with many people, male and female, of trying to help them release the past.
Mm-hmm.
What all practices have you done to help you release all the negativity, the pain that's held you back in the past?
Well, I had to become more in touch with what I was feeling because I had shut down for so long. I was like related to Cleopatra. I was queen of denial, and everything's going to be better. He's just having a bad day. Blah blah blah. It's all my fault. And finally, I read the book "Women Who Run with Wolves" by Dr. Clarissa Estes, and I just suddenly I realized I'm more powerful and I have more strength than I even realized that I've got. And I started standing up for myself. And then he had a stroke, and I helped him get through that. And then he ended up dying of heart failure. He had diabetes really bad, and that was really I think the source of his problems, because people said he changed over the years. He had many strokes, and then he had a big one, and then he died several years later. But I remember the way he used to be, and he did change, I think, physically. But to answer your question, just reading that book and realizing that I was stronger than I had ever realized that I was, and that I was smarter than I thought I was, and just learning to appreciate the skills that I had. And then these gifts started appearing more clearly. I had them when I was younger, but I had shut them down as well. And I started listening to my intuition, and things came more smoothly, and things worked out. I'm just trying to enjoy life and love myself and love my life. I guess that's the best way to say it.
I have a question for you. Once you started speaking up for yourself, how soon did your husband pass away after that?
Let me think. It was probably about, well, I'm a retired nurse now, but I was a nurse at that time. And I knew that there was something wrong with him because he wasn't like that before. And I saw a progression of it getting worse and worse. And I couldn't just leave him he couldn't even see his insulin, his syringes to draw his insulin up because he'd had retinopathy and laser surgery and stuff like that. And, I felt like I couldn't leave him without him not being able to take care of himself. So I stayed with him, but I kept reading and I kept listening to, studying and learning things, I guess you could say, just and strengthening myself. And I did stand up for myself, but I did choose my fights too because I didn't want to just fight over everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm kind of sitting here making an assumption that, once you started standing up for yourself, his job was done.
Oh, golly, yeah.
So that's an assumption on my part. And I could be reading too much into it, but, he gradually got worse and you eventually spoke up and then he died. So it's almost like his time here was done, but I don't know.
Well, he was alive for, I'm trying to place the timing of it all. He was alive for 8 or 9 years after that. I mean, when I started, but then, I mean, I was a nurse, and I mean, nurses are not stupid.
No.
But I thought everything I did was wrong, and that I was going to make a mistake. And I mean, I lived on eggshells, and my son did too, for that matter, which he's still dealing with that. But it was really stressful, and I didn't even realize how stressful it was until he passed. And then I got a speeding ticket one day, and I said, my very first speeding ticket. And I thought for a minute, oh no, I'm going to have to tell him. And I said, no, I don't. He's not there anymore. And it was so releasing. And I just growing on that feeling of relief and release has helped me, propelled me on the way, I guess you could say. And I just been making right decisions. I sold a house, I bought a condo. I just seem to know what to do. And I think I've got angels watching over me and my own intuition too. I'm not sure. I'm very, very thankful for it though.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, that's what the show is about. It's called Breaking Free. And that's what, that's about these kinds of stories and these experiences, because there are certain times and certain things that are holding us back, but in some ways maybe meant to hold us back for our freedom.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's also funny how for years I never had any friends like the ones I've got now. And now all of a sudden I have a friend who's a shaman. I have another friend who speaks to angels. It's just all is gathering
and
around
me. And you feel like you're in your own world now and they know you there?
Yeah, I do.
I hear you, honey. Roland was going to say something else. What were you going to say?
Sure.
It was, it's both of your time. Your time, your past you had to go through. You had to experience that kind of pain to feel that kind of pain so you can relate to more people. You can be open to more people. You can have more connection to spirit. If you have
and other people.
Yes, other
people.
Because
I'm empathic.
Yeah, and so you both were on a path. I mean, you were together for a reason, and but I'm kind of getting that part of him being with you was the hope that you were going to help him beyond just being a nurse.
I'm a rescuer, and his family situation was not a good one, and he had poor self-image, but he was very, very, very intelligent, and I wanted to make his world better. That's how we started dating in the 9th grade and went on from there. We married after dating 7 years, and I stayed with him for 37 of them. So,
Yeah, I think that we're all here obviously to learn from each other. So he learned from you, you learned from him, and now you're on the next piece of your life.
And he apologized on his deathbed. He apologized to me and to our son.
Well, that was certainly freeing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It really was. But I'm still finding out hang-ups that I have. Like, I finally learned to be calm with someone who's a very dominating personality, because I had a tendency to just blank out, like, sure, whatever you say. And I did the hero pose or heroine pose. Have you heard of that? you put your hands on your hips and say, I am strong. This person's not any better than I am, and I'm fine. You
Right.
know, and I used that, and it really worked.
Good for you. Well, you are an angel. Please keep watching our show. Call in
I will.
anytime. And we'd love to have you, partake. So I really appreciate it. Did you have any other questions?
My one suggestion would be to go to your shamanic friend. You are still carrying energy that does not serve you from that environment, from that. You're growing and it's wonderful, but your next step, you have to release more before you'll take your next big step. And
Right.
approach your shaman and ask about doing a clearing, or you may have somebody else could do it. But emotional things such as that, even though you've grown, you still have a layer inside of you that needs to come out.
Oh, yeah. And I just found out something he did that I didn't even know about, that he kept a friend from contacting me years ago. And I'm still kind of torqued off about that because, I mean, I'm finding out that he lied about things that he did, that he didn't do. And I mean, there are little things that keep popping up, and I'm having to kind of bat them away at one at a time or deal with them.
You got to deal with them.
Yeah.
Even dealing with them, even when you do send something on its way, you send it on it when you've dealt with it, you send it on its way in a good way. Not to say that you won't deal with it again some point down the road. You might, but you've got to. And I think Roland's comment suggestion is a
Yes.
really important one.
Yes.
Because you don't
have
know
two
what you
friends.
don't know, Melody, just like the rest of us. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, you know what? I if it wasn't for him today doing this, I can't tell you. I mean, I'm so serious. My shoulders were back. I was like squished together. But now I'm sitting up much taller. So it makes a big difference. So anyway, thank you very much for being here. And join
Thank
us
you.
again, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
your advice, Roland. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. So anybody else, we got time. Call us 919-518-9773, or you can communicate with us through Skype at computers, that's plural, the number 2K voice. And then we have our chat, which is still open and waiting for you. So come on in there and ask your questions or any, whatever you like. We have another question in here from Chris, but before I do that, what else? Is there anything you want to add at this point before we go to Chris's question?
Yeah, I'll say when it comes to this area, between Orange, Durham, and Wake counties, North Carolina, it's a kind of a hotbed for new age stuff, energy work, and things of that nature. And a lot of people are searching, a lot of people are looking, but the one thing that everybody's got to remember, it's not about me. A lot of people, are good intentions or well intentions, but they have a tendency to, still hold on to that ego and run it like a business, and which is fine, but they have to remember it's not about me. It's about the person in front of you, the person you're working with, and the next person you can help. It's like that dropping the pebble in the water. It's how many people can you help, and sometimes in the energy work, it's maybe not you're supposed to help anybody else. Maybe it's just to help you grow to be better at whatever you're currently doing. A teacher, a nurse, or what have you.
Yeah, and another important little caveat to attach to that is, as healers, coaches, whoever you are, mothers, fathers, you can't always get attached to how you think it's going to look, how you want it to look, what you think it should look like, what you dreamt. You can't. You do your thing, and you hope for the best. And that's the best you can do. And if and it may not be on your timing, maybe on somebody else's timing. There are a lot of factors that contribute to how a healer or a mother, father, whatever it is helping someone. You got to you help for helping's sake, and you got to just let it go and not get the ego in it.
Yes.
True?
True.
So before I go to Chris's question, because it's a good one, but I wanted you to tell everybody about your Shayla's World and about your healing and what that means and how they find you and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Um, Starting with the Shayla's World, it'll be a charity in my daughter's name. Her name was Shayla Blythe Walters. We literally are just starting. My wife, I should say, as far as trying to go through all the hoops and the paperwork to get that underway. But we will complete it, and the idea is to help other children such as ourselves, or even you may say indigo type children. We know what we went through. It was the hardest job I ever had, but the most rewarding in numerous ways. And it takes a lot to take care of a child like that. And a lot in our system is a lot of things aren't available as they used to be, financially and stuff, or services. So we don't know where it's going to go. It's just we felt the need to, whether it be just something little or if it turns into something huge, we're just going to follow it and run with it. Um, what was your other question?
So so with your healing work, how do people find you and as far as how are you funding Shayla's World?
Okay. Well, as far as funding Shayla's World, this past weekend, I held a booth at the One Tribe Fest that was held at the Raleigh Fairgrounds. One Tribe Fest and Conscious Living, and I was doing little short healing sessions. So people come and we were taking donations in. Um, so over the 2 day period, I earned helped Shayla's World earn, I think it was a little over $500, which pretty happy, nice start. And I worked on 15 to 20 people over the 2 days. A lot was just simply talking about like these type of questions of, what it is, and also what energy work is. As far as finding me, I do most of my work out on our farm, or I'll do it remotely, and I also come to people's houses. As far as reaching me, I have a website. It's In the Healing Light, all one word, inthehealinglight.com, and email is inthehealinglight@gmail.com. And or you could reach me. I have Facebook. It's just my name, Roland Walters, and also my phone number. Where I'm at is probably best if you were to text. Then always go through a signal, but the cell number is 336-212-4296.
And so that brings me to Chris's question about remote healing. Can you talk some about that? How you would do that? Because many of our listeners can be calling from anywhere in the world.
Right.
So how would you use remote healing for that?
It does not matter where you're at. Um, the biggest thing is when I try to work with somebody remotely is they need to be in a quiet space. Can't be trying to read a book while I'm working on them. Can't be, playing on a phone or things. It's act as if we are sitting side by side and open up. Sometimes I start out the conversation on the phone and then get off the phone and do the work, then come back. But a lot of times they stay on the phone the whole time so we can have a conversation on what's going on and what I see. Um, but I will feel the same thing. And you will feel the same thing as if you were beside me, as long as you're ready and willing.
That makes sense. Right? You have to be open.
You have to be open.
You
Yeah.
have to be open. Does it take multiple sessions with someone to feel something, or
I know you'll feel something definitely in the first session, but you will not be cured, fixed, or what have you. You want to say it in the first session. The problems didn't occur overnight, and you're not going to clear them away in one session. Um, a single session can bring you great relief, and you can move on, and it may be all you want to do, or it can be like a lot of clients I have that every so many months they come back and want me to clear out a little more, work on a few more other things, or if you take, for instance, let's say you mentioned your back. Let's say you take somebody who has chronic back pains and has been dealing with all their life. No, I don't heal them, but every few months or every couple of months, I can give them a lot of relief, just so they can go on through their life. It's just like if you go to a physician, you don't walk in there once and you're cured. It doesn't work that way. It takes your time. You have to open up. Body has to heal, and you have to grow spiritually.
So I just want to add that piece. So you can go to Roland, and you can do this, and you can have him remote healing, whatever it looks like. But you got to grow. You got to process what comes up. You've got to take a look at things. You've got to notice things. It's really important. You've got to listen to what's going on around you. To me, everything is a listening. So it's like you've got to take the work on. It's not just the healing and then you do nothing.
Exactly, because you know, if you go going back to doing the same thing, well, take for instance, let's say if you go on a diet and you lose all this weight and you're like, cool, I'm down to my ideal weight, and you go back to eating the way you used to, it doesn't stay. It doesn't. So when I work with people remotely in person, I generally give them comments and or more or less tools and direction to help them keep going that path, keep working on it, because I'm there to help you help yourself. I am not the one that's going to cure you. I'm not the. It doesn't work that way. If um, if you have a bad back and you misuse it, and you come back to me to help you again, and then you go back and do the same thing and come back again, you just don't grow. You don't improve. So you have to take the tools that are given you, listen to the advices given to you, and grow from it and help yourself. I mean, that's the big thing is helping yourself, whether you go to a physician or a shaman.
Absolutely. That's well said. Well said. Okay, so we have probably time for one more question. Whoever wants to call in, 919-518-9773 or computers 2K voice. Or on the chat, if you have a question, you haven't answered anything yet, or you want to make a comment, please feel free to do that. I just want one more time for Amnon to show my book, where I have interviewed 22 men about their life journey, whether it was work related, spiritual related, they were behind bars, or somebody like Roland. And if you want to know more about Roland's backstory, you'll see it in this book. He shared lots of things that even to this moment I want to sit back and cry. So I want to thank him for that. You can find my book on Amazon. And then also, okay, so let's see, Melody is saying, thank you. I was and only briefly, but at 6 years old, I had no concept of what could happen. Yeah. I mean, we don't, and that was, and thank you for saying that, because one of the things we did not talk about, but I meant to say something, and I will in this final moments, is how important it is to listen to the way our children are, and to when you see things that our children do, whether, like for me, I have grandchildren now, I'm listening for how they're being, things that they say, things that they notice, ways that they're acting, that will not close them down, but will only open them up. Right? Do you have a final word to say about kids?
I have a 12-year-old son, and it is a daily learning process of just how to relate to him, and what he's willing to, at his age in his life, to relate to what I have to offer. But it's a daily learning process. I mean, it's not just the child, it's also I'm having to listen to myself to make sure that I'm not, what I say is affecting him.
Right. But they are these energy beings
Yes.
and they know things.
They know things, and some children are much further along than others, and you just help them on their path, whichever way it may be.
So, Deanna, this is maybe a perfect way to kind of segue into almost the end of our show. Do you know Deanna?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Deanna says, this has been great. Love his genuine presence. His work has and continues to impact my journey in such positive ways. So, Deanna, thank you so much for that. And I want to say to you, and this is mushy, but who cares? We're mushy today, so who cares? I love your energy as well. I love the fact that you are like this and a man. I'm sorry. I see a lot of women that are doing all kinds of healing work, and I love it when I see a man who can talk about this stuff, who is in touch the best that we all know how. I mean, we're getting in touch is a journey. And
Yes.
I honor the fact that you came here today. And I know, that talking about this stuff and is, a lot of your pride and joy,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that you like sharing it. And I just honor you for being your heart. And thank you.
Thank you. And Deanna, she is a pure soul. She is a wonderful person, and thank you, Deanna. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you, Deanna. And everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us today. And I know today we all really connected. I can feel it. I know I say that a lot, but today I feel this connection and this power with all of you out there. And so thank you so much, Roland, for being here, and Amnon for all of your help, and everyone on the chat and everybody out there.
Thank you.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.